I'm really excited to be talking to you in this video because this is something that I'm interested in and enjoy talking about. Now, these are some of my unconventional views on dating, and I also provide some of the reasons why I choose to take these unconventional approaches. Unconventional meaning not practiced by most people, especially those in my generation. So the first thing, my first unconventional approach to dating is I don't use dating apps anymore. That's right. I used to use them for a couple years back in college. And I want to preface this with, I don't have any fundamental disagreements, or I don't look at dating apps as the devil's spawn, right? I don't think that they're bad inherently. I just saw some downsides that were significant enough for me to choose to stop using them. Now, the first big one is I didn't think it was good for my mental health personally. So there's a couple reasons, one of which being I naturally compared myself to other people that I couldn't see, right? If I had a match that I got ghosted on, or I was really excited to talk to, and then it fizzled out for whatever reason, I couldn't help but stop and think, what about the other people that this person was messaging that I was interested in? What were they bringing to the table that I wasn't able to bring to the table? What do they have that I didn't have? And that caused an unhealthy cycle of comparison to people that I couldn't even see and didn't even know. The second reason is the artificial spikes in dopamine. The spikes and then the crashes, that is. So if you've used dating apps before and you've matched with someone that you're really attracted to and really interested in getting to know better, you feel excited, right? It's just like in real life. When you go up to someone, you approach them, and they're receptive, it feels exciting. But on dating apps, it's kind of different because it's much easier for them to stop talking to you, also known as ghosting. And, you're all excited to be talking. The conversation could be going great. You could think that you have a date secured, and then all of a sudden you never hear from them again. They might unmatch you, and that really plays with your head. At least it did with mine, right? And so I got a little bit tired of feeling high and then feeling low, and then high and then low. And then ultimately, before I deleted the apps, I achieved a state of being neutral throughout, but it just made dating apps less fun. So that's another big reason for me. It also made me feel a little strange. It made me feel like I was like browsing for furniture through like a catalog, right? Like swiping, like you would in an old magazine catalog. Oh, that piece of furniture looks great. This one doesn't. It's kind of the same type of thing with dating apps, right? You see a person, you might not like them as much. You might not want to get to know them. You see the next person, you're super interested in them because they look a certain way or they have something on their profile that you agree with more. So that was another reason. So it also, a big thing, especially with the approachers, mainly guys that are interested in women, but that is not always the case, nor does it have to be the case, right? Whatever you're into. But it made me not be as used or as comfortable talking to people that I was interested in person, because I was used to being behind this screen where I would swipe on them, and if they swiped at me, that meant they were interested enough to at least humor getting to know me better, and then form a conversation that could lead to a meetup. And in person, it's different because you don't have that same protection almost, where you're able to be stuffing your face with Doritos behind a screen and then messaging them. Face to face, there's more nerves involved usually. And I noticed that I got a little bit rusty when I stopped approaching people and talking to them in person. So really, it's the use it or lose it mentality, and that approaches in this case too. Same thing. So, another non-conventional approach that I have in dating is I go up to people that I'm interested in, and I'll make a future video on how I have been able to cultivate the courage and the confidence to do that, because it's not easy, especially if you're in a place starting from being very nervous and you would never think you'd be able to do that. I promise you can. It takes a while to do so and not feel many nerves. Sometimes you don't feel nerves at all, but over time you can reach that point. And I'll make a future video on that. But that's something I do, is if I see someone across the street and I really want to get to know them better, I will find a way to go over there to start some small talk through either flirtation, more subtle hints, or directly saying, I would like to spend some time with you or get to know you better. Or my favorite thing to do is say something like, I'm going to do this. I'd love it if you came along with me. Let's exchange contact information, something like that, right? Really, this approach sets you ahead of the curve, especially if you're in my generation. Again, a millennial or a Gen Xer, or Gen Z. I promise I'm not a Gen Xer. Gen Xers were doing this. Baby boomers were doing this. Everyone before them was doing this approaching thing. So I've noticed too that when I've approached people several years older than me, they have not been used to that. And it's not just people that are in their teens or in their 20s. It's people in their 30s as well that are not used to being approached, because these apps have been out long enough and technology has been around long enough that don't assume that just because you see someone who's 35 years old that they are used to being approached, because a lot of people are not doing that anymore and haven't been doing so for a while. So that really makes an impact on people when you go and do that, when you do it with confidence and you show that you're interested in them and want to get to know them better, because there's not very many people that are doing that. Also, bonus points too if you can go up and approach people that you're interested in learning more about without the use of social lubricants, including alcohol. That takes a lot of nerve, but I promise you can get to that point, right? Like I said, I'll make a future video on that. It also makes you more desirable, right? People appreciate those who are bold and can state what they want to you. And there's a fine line on how to do that, but it's usually well received when you go up and you do it in a respectful way. People have told me when I've been turned down, which I get turned down so much more. It's not even funny. I have heard multiple people say, I'm flattered. Thank you for, approaching me. Or maybe they have a boyfriend. Maybe they're taken. Maybe they just are okay without, even if they're single. But I've been thanked for, thinking to go and do that, because it's admirable, right? So it's boldness. That's what it is. And then it also challenges you to do it the hard way, right? The traditional way that our parents or grandparents were used to doing, because they were around dating before these apps came out. At least a lot of them were. And so I think that it is great to talk to older people about what it was like and maybe some recommendations that they would have with approaching other people, because they had to do that. And look, I get it. It's your parent, it's your grandparent. You might think they don't know everything, because they don't. And right, you might think you know more, and maybe you do in some ways. But the point is they experienced life at a different time than you did, when things were a lot different. And so there is a wealth of knowledge and information that is likely living in your household, or is just one phone call away. So those are some of the things and some of the reasons why I have a more traditional or non-conventional approach to dating. Again, not against dating apps. I just personally choose not to use them for the reasons I discussed. I hope that this video was helpful and informative. If it was, please hit the like button, comment below for what you thought about this video, and suggest future video topics if you would. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, we'll talk soon. See ya.